they can finally kill Sukuna. The power of the sorcerers is getting stronger by the minute, and even Sukuna is impressed. And now with the executioner's sword at their disposal, maybe this is finally it for Sukuna. I'm kidding, of course. Gege is about to pull another reverse Uno on us. You know it's coming, and this will change everything, so let's break it down. You guys know how this works. If you enjoy my JJK content, leave a quick like and comment right now for that YouTube algorithm. And if you want to help this channel attain special grade status by hitting 2 million subscribers, do me a huge favor and subscribe right now. We are very close. Finally, this video will of course contain JJK manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. The previous chapter gave us the intense fight between Hakari and Uraume, and then we got the insane trial of Sukuna, followed by a deadly twist and the arrival of multiple Jujutsu sorcerers to the main battlefield. Now, as far as I'm aware, Uraume's gender is still technically listed as unknown, but if the official Viz translation can be believed, then in chapter 245, Hakari seems to have confirmed that Uraume is a girl. Anyway, the big trial was way shorter than anyone expected. After establishing that Judgment is able to differentiate between two different souls even if they reside in the same body, Higuruma argues that Sukuna is the one responsible for the Shibuya massacre, not Yuji, because Sukuna had hijacked Yuji's body during that event. But Sukuna says that he doesn't care about the court proceedings, and he practically admits his guilt. Judgment isn't playing around and immediately finds Sukuna guilty and sentences him to both confiscation and the death penalty. As the sentence is carried out, Higuruma explains that he believes that Sukuna lost the ability to use the 10 Shadows technique during his fight with Gojo. So that means that the sentence of confiscation must be applied to his innate technique, meaning that Sukuna should not be capable of using his deadly slashing attacks any longer. This is good news for Higuruma, because the other sentence, death penalty, means that he will now get to use the legendary Executioner's Sword against Sukuna. And we know for a fact that this sword does have the power to kill even the King of Curses himself. So Higuruma and the other sorcerers are thinking, okay, Sukuna is probably worn out from his fight with Gojo, he can't use 10 Shadows anymore, he can't use his own innate technique / Malevolent Shrine anymore, and Higuruma has a sword that can kill anyone. Hey, they might actually stand a chance here. And so, in that moment, Kusakabe, Ino, and Choso all rush to the battlefield to help Higuruma and Yuji take Sukuna down, but sadly, their hopefulness doesn't last very long. As we soon find out, when the target of Judgment's confiscation possesses a cursed object, the power of that object is confiscated instead of the target's own innate technique. So this means that Sukuna still has his slashing powers, and he launches them at Higuruma immediately. He instantly cuts Higuruma's body in dozens of places, and he would likely have died if Kusakabe hadn't stepped in to take some of the hits with his own body, and then Choso and Ino joined the fray as well, and then all hell breaks loose. Man, Gege really likes to tease us that someone might finally have a solution against Sukuna, only to laugh right in our face if we fall for it, even for a second. Stick around until the end of the video because I will explain why I think Gege is about to do the same thing to us again. Okay, so Higuruma is almost completely caught off guard by the twist that Sukuna still has his innate technique, and part of that is due to Higuruma's lack of proper battle experience. This dude was just a lawyer, and he only became a sorcerer like less than 2 months ago. Thankfully, Kusakabe is able to use new Shadow style Simple Domain to decrease the amount of damage that Sukuna's slashing attacks are doing, which allows the sorcerers to at least survive, for now. Sukuna is using Dismantle, but he is not using the kind of overpowered slash that can cut space itself, the attack he used to allegedly kill Gojo. As you guys know, because I mention it in every video, I still think that Gojo can beat the being dead allegations, but we'll see. Cope springs eternal. One other thing that Kusakabe notices is that Sukuna is not using that fire innate technique that he had used back in Shibuya, the same technique he used to destroy the special grade curse Jogo. Kusakabe assumes that Sukuna isn't using that technique because he can't use it right now for whatever reason. And if Sukuna really can't use the technique, then that is really good news for the sorcerers, because those blazing fire attacks that he used on Jogo were absolutely incredible. Higuruma then explains to Kusakabe that even though they got the sentences they were hoping for, Sukuna still got to keep his cursed technique because the confiscation was applied to Sukuna's cursed object instead of his innate technique. However, Kusakabe still thinks that they have a chance because they have the Executioner's Sword, and that sword is the quickest and easiest solution to end this fight. Kusakabe vows to protect Higuruma and the sword at all costs, even if it costs him his life. Kusakabe surprises even himself with how committed he is to winning the fight, but I mean, he has a point. If Sukuna wins and gains the ability to essentially control the world unimpeded, the result would be an absolute disaster for all of humanity. Even if Kusakabe survived the fight, he would be absolutely screwed afterwards, so he might as well give it his all right here and now. Sukuna is impressed with Kusakabe's ability to defend against his slashes, but of course Sukuna is just getting started, and he still has plenty of tricks up his sleeve. Thankfully, Choso shows up to back up the other sorcerers, and he tries to use his piercing blood attack against the King of Curses. But Sukuna quickly appears in front of Choso and runs his entire hand through Choso's body, clearly delivering a severe injury. This would absolutely be a fatal injury in the real world, but this is a battle shonen and Choso is not a normal human, so he probably could survive this. I mean, JJK isn't shy to kill off significant side characters, so it's possible that Choso could die. But just personally, I don't think he's gonna go out like this. I could be wrong, but that's my hunch. Ino shows up as well, and Sukuna is kind of impressed with how much stronger all of these guys have gotten and how powerful their attacks are. Ino's cursed weapon now seems to contain Nanami's cursed technique within it, and he delivers a hit to Sukuna that ends up being a lot harder than Sukuna had expected, which again kind of impresses Sukuna. That said though, Sukuna is still dominating this fight, and all the other sorcerers, Yuji included, are basically just fighting desperately to stay alive and to keep their comrades alive. Even though Sukuna is outnumbered by all these sorcerers, they are the ones desperately trying to dodge and protect themselves and each other from Sukuna's absolutely monstrous attacks. The priority here is to protect Higuruma and the Executioner's sword. Without that sword, the sorcerers really don't stand a chance, so they have to keep it out of the villain's hands no matter what. As Sukuna attempts to chase down and catch Higuruma, Yuji runs after him, desperately trying to catch up to him and prevent him from killing Higuruma. Yuji realizes that Sukuna is just insanely fast, and even trying to keep up with him is practically impossible. Then we see a quick flashback to when the sorcerers were discussing their battle plan against Sukuna before the beginning of the battle. Even then, they knew that the Executioner's sword would be the best way to defeat Sukuna, because not only is it one of the only things capable of actually killing him, but it is also able to distinguish between different souls. And so if Sukuna is cut down by the Executioner's sword, only he would die and Megumi would not be harmed. That's because only Sukuna was declared guilty, and so the punishment only applies to him. Megumi didn't do anything wrong, so the sword wouldn't harm him even if it destroyed Sukuna. This is obviously super important for the sorcerers because they want to save Megumi and kill Sukuna at the same time. They don't want to kill Megumi in order to get rid of Sukuna. During the flashback, it is established that Higuruma is willing to put his life on the line in the battle against Sukuna. And despite not being a fighter, again, he's a lawyer, he is prepared to die for the cause of justice. It's like he feels guilty that he strayed away from the path of law and order and just kind of took the law into his own hands. And he seems to feel like dying while defeating Sukuna would help him atone for that, at least to some extent. This is something that Yuji can definitely relate to because he still feels guilty about all the horrible crimes that Sukuna committed while he was possessing his own body. Back in the present, Higuruma manages to use domain amplification to neutralize Sukuna's technique and survive. I guess Higuruma just learned how to use it on the fly right now, so that is just incredible. Sukuna knows that Higuruma awakened as a sorcerer less than 2 months ago, and so to the King of Curses, this is extremely impressive. Higuruma has had immense growth in such a short period of time. In that moment, the Executioner's sword begins to shine again, and then its aura seems to engulf Higuruma's entire body. As the chapter implies that full power Higuruma with the Executioner's sword could rival the power of even Satoru Gojo himself, we are led to believe yet again that maybe, just maybe, there is some chance that the sorcerers can actually defeat Sukuna. I mean, they have the Executioner's sword, right? And even Sukuna is impressed, so maybe this could really be his end. Of course not. This is definitely just another tease by Gege. In the very next chapter, we might see Sukuna regaining the initiative and straight up killing an important character like it was nothing. It's happened before, so never discount the absolute menace that is Ryomen Sukuna. Personally, I am definitely impressed by Higuruma, and I do think that he has an important role to play in this fight. But like I said in my last JJK video, I just don't see Higuruma being the one to actually take Sukuna down with the Executioner's sword. If Sukuna is meant to be defeated by this sword, then the person who will end up wielding it will likely end up being a much more important character, someone like Yuta or even Yuji. Higuruma will play his part, and it's an important part, and he was the one who brought the Executioner's Sword into the equation. But from a writing perspective, I think that in the end a character like Higuruma will have to take a backseat to the big boys like Yuji and Yuta. What do you guys think? Will someone else like Yuji or Yuta end up wielding the Executioner's Sword against Sukuna? Higuruma is definitely being glazed by the narrator right now, but will he manage to become a major character, or will he just become another one of Sukuna's victims? Finally, why haven't you liked and subscribed yet? It is totally free and it helps me out a lot. Oh, and if you did like and subscribe already, congrats, now you get to feel smug because what I said didn't apply to you. If you're looking for another epic JJK video to watch next, check out my video about Sukuna's secret brother, link on screen and in the description.